The 3D paradigm says hustle creates success. But in quantum terms, hustle often indicates misalignment. Why? Because aligned energy is efficient, clear, magnetic. It doesn't need to overcompensate. Overdoing, overthinking, overplanning. These are signs. The inner world hasn't caught up with the outer desire. And the field will always reflect the inner world. First, let's make this real with a story. Imagine a woman named Ava. She's deep into spiritual work. She journals every morning. She does breath work. She listens to binaural beats and visualizes her dream life daily. But still, she's stuck in the same financial loop. One day, out of frustration, she throws out all the practices. She stops trying to get there. Instead, she simply sits in silence. She breathes. She cries. She releases. And for the first time in weeks, she feels peaceful. Not because her life changed, but because she finally stopped resisting what was. In that moment, her frequency shifts. The next day, a job offer lands in her inbox. Out of nowhere. Coincidence? No. Coherence. She did less and received more because her energy finally matched the reality she'd been chasing. This isn't magic. It's mechanics. In quantum physics, the observer effect shows us that matter doesn't exist in a fixed state until it is observed. Until attention collapses the probability wave into a particle. That means the energy you hold while observing, focusing, intending, desiring is what collapses one version of reality over another. And if your energy is chaotic, desperate, the field receives that as your true request. No matter what words you say or rituals you follow. Here's the secret. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you're being. And being isn't about pretending or forcing a high vibe. It's about stabilizing your signal in truth, in calm, in coherence. That's what creates magnetic resonance. And reality follows resonance. This is why some people manifest effortlessly, while others feel stuck despite trying everything. It's not about how much they do. It's about how clean their signal is. And that signal is often clearest when you stop doing and start allowing. So the real question isn't, what else do I need to? It's, what am I doing that's clouding my frequency? What thoughts, what behaviors, what beliefs are keeping you in friction with your desired timeline? Doing less means stepping out of frantic action and into intentional presence. It means releasing the need to control and choosing to trust the unseen process of energetic alignment. And that choice, that trust, it's not passive. It's powerful. It's the most radical thing you can do in a world addicted to force. And this is just the beginning, because in the next segment we'll explore the science and spirit behind acting from alignment, not anxiety. You'll learn how the now moment is not just a mindset, but a portal, and how your most powerful shift doesn't come from doing more, but from becoming more coherent. Let's pause for a moment and consider something that might be quietly shaping or distorting your reality, the intention behind your actions, not the action itself, not the outcome it aims to produce, but the energy beneath it, the frequency it emits. Most people act from urgency, from lack, from an invisible fear that says, if I don't do something now, nothing will change. That pressure, though deeply human, transmits a signal to the quantum field that says, I am not whole. I am not ready. I am not safe. And the field, ever so neutral and precise, mirrors that signal back. Not because it's cruel, but because it's coherent. Now, here's the upgrade. You can act now, but from alignment, not anxiety. And when you do, the entire game changes. In quantum mechanics, the present moment is not a stepping stone to the future. It is the only access point to all possibilities. The past and future are not fixed locations. They are probabilities. And they are only accessible through the what now. When you understand this, you stop chasing results in some distant future and start calibrating your energy in this moment. Because this moment is the only one the quantum field responds to. Think about how most people try to create change. They push. They hustle. They anticipate. They obsess. They're mentally 2 steps ahead or emotionally 6 months behind. Very few are here, right here. And yet, this is where reality is born. This is where choice lives. This is where you collapse the next frame of your life. Let's go deeper. The quantum field is like a cosmic search engine, always scanning your internal state for a signal to match. When you act from scattered urgency, it sees incoherence. When you act from grounded clarity, even with fewer steps, the field registers a clear request. That's what gets results. Not more action. More coherence. Coherence isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. About being internally aligned with your intention, your energy, your decision. When the heart and mind are in sync, the body relaxes, the nervous system regulates, the signal clear. You become a clean channel. That's when synchronicities accelerate. That's when timelines bend. In neuroscience, this state of internal alignment is linked to heart-brain coherence. Studies from the HeartMath Institute show that when the heart's rhythm becomes ordered and harmonious, the brain synchronizes with it, producing greater cognitive clarity, emotional stability, and intuitive access. You're not just thinking better, you're becoming a clearer receiver for guidance, inspiration, and aligned opportunities. Now imagine the implications of that. Imagine replacing overthinking with inner listening, replacing reactivity with responsiveness, replacing exhaustion with effortless insight. This is not passive. This is quantum mastery. It's the foundation of real power, the kind that doesn't burn you out because it flows through you rather than from you. Let's return to the id you, step out of linear time and into resonance with possibility. Here's a truth worth repeating. The universe doesn't need you to do more. It needs you to be aligned with what you're doing. Because alignment is clarity. Clarity is power. And power in the quantum realm is not force, it's frequency. So, how do you know if you're in alignment or anxiety? Feel your body. Listen to your thoughts. Watch for urgency. If your action is coming from fear of what will happen, if you don't act, pause. Re-enter. Wait for the shift. And when it comes, you'll know. Because the next step will feel like truth, not pressure. In the next part, we'll explore the connection between your thinking and your field. Why thinking correctly, not more often, not more. Intensely but more cleanly is more powerful than any amount of effort. You'll see how your thoughts don't just interpret reality, they instruct it. And why doing less doesn't start with action, but with intention. Ready to recalibrate the way you think? Let's go. You've probably been told that your thoughts create your reality. But what that sentence doesn't often explain is this: not all thoughts are equal. Not every idea that crosses your mind is a blueprint. Not every affirmation is a signal. And not every vision manifests. Why? Because the quantum field doesn't respond to the content of your thoughts. It responds to the coherence of your consciousness. It responds to the clarity, your frequency, which means thinking more, even with good intentions, doesn't guarantee more alignment. In fact, most people are thinking so much it's survival. And the field listens to that, not the script. So, what does thinking right really mean? It means catching the subtle narratives that run your life on autopilot. It means disrupting the mental loops that reflect fear, control, or contraction. It means choosing a new frame, not from force, but from freedom. From remembering who you actually are and what reality you came here to embody. The skill here is the discernment. Not all thoughts are yours. Not all beliefs are true. And not all desires are soul level. The more aware you become of the mental patterns that keep you chasing, doubting, or bracing, the more you thus reclaim your sovereignty over the field. And sovereignty is magnetism. You don't need to control every thought. That's impossible. But you do need to stabilize your dominant state. That's what radiates. That's what aligns timelines. That's what opens quantum doors. And that's what allows doing less to become a practical, powerful form of alignment. Not an excuse for passivity, but a permission for precision. Let's take a moment to integrate this. Think of one thought you know is no longer aligned. A thought that says, "It's not working. I need to try harder. I'm not there yet." Feel what it does to your body. Feel how it tenses your system. Now imagine replacing it, not with a fake positive thought, but with a truthful one. I am tuning my frequency. I am collapsing timelines through presence. Being shaped for what's already mine. Feel the difference. That's coherence. That's signal clarity. That's the quantum shift. In the next section, we'll go even deeper into the origin of your desires. Because not all desire is created equal. Some of it comes from trauma, competition, or compensation. But some of it, the rare, sacred kind, comes from your soul's blueprint, echoing through the quantum field as a call to remember. You're not here to chase that desire. You're here to align with it. And that changes everything. Let's talk about desire. Not the surface level kind. Not the kind shaped by Instagram ads, societal timelines, or your neighbor's highlight reel. Let's talk about the pure deep desire, the one that lingers even when you try to ignore it. The one that keeps whispering even when you've stopped believing. That's the desire we need to understand. Because in the quantum field, not all desire is created equal. And authentic desire is not just an emotional state. It's a vibrational blueprint, a message from your higher self, encoded into your system as a frequency that calls your future into. This is why trying harder often delays your manifestation. Because when you chase what you want, you signal to the field that you don't yet have it, that you're separate from it. And that gap, that inner experience of lack, is what the field mirrors back. But when your desire is recognized as a soul signal already sent, and your job becomes alignment, not acquisition, everything changes. You stop chasing. You start resonating. Here's the shift. What if your truest desires aren't things you're supposed to get, but frequencies you're meant to stabilize? The dream job, the relationship, the healing. What if they're just the outer expression of a vibration you're here to hold? That means manifestation isn't about forcing the timeline. It's about tuning to the vibration that already contains it. Let's use an analogy. Think of desire like a radio frequency. It's already broadcasting, but you can't hear it, experience it, or receive its message until you're tuned in. Tuning in doesn't require you to build a new tower. It requires you to stop twisting the dial every 5 seconds hoping to catch it faster. That's what most people do. They panic. They tweak. They jump timelines prematurely. They abandon the signal right before it locks in. So what's the practice? Presence, patience, purity of intention. These aren't soft spiritual words. They are tabu or dhamma. They are tactical instructions. Because the more often you stabilize your energy in the vibration of already having, the more the field begins to collapse around that truth. Not because you proved you're worthy, but because you finally stopped contradicting yourself. This brings us to a powerful quantum teaching. The field doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you become. The gap between your current timeline and the one you want to shift into isn't closed by effort. It's closed by trauma. The more you become the version of yourself who already has, the faster the shift occurs. And often, it doesn't feel like effort. It feels like clarity. There's something mystical that happens when you stop trying to manifest from lack and start embodying your desire as destiny. You begin to walk differently, think differently. You start making micro decisions from a different lens. You no longer ask, will this help me get there? You ask, does this feel like who I already am in that version? That shift from seeking to stabilizing is where true quantum change happens. So how do you know if your desire is authentic? You'll feel it in your body, not as a high or a rush, but as a grounded certainty, a resonance, a knowing. Authentic desire doesn't scream. It hums. It echoes. It lives in the stillness between your thoughts. And when you honor it without forcing it, it responds. Here's something most people overlook. The biggest shifts often happen right before you give up. Why? Because giving up, when done from surrender and not despair, releases resistance. And resistance is the biggest blocker of energetic alignment. When you finally stop gripping, controlling, strategizing, the energy unblocks, the field flows, and what you've been holding at bay, with effort, finally enters with ease. So if you've been pushing, trying, hustling, pause. What if you stopped for a moment and remembered that the version of you who already has what you desire is not trying to get it, they're already living it. What would that version do today? Think today, say, today? If this resonates with you, comment below. I already have it. Let this be your declaration, not just to the algorithm, but to the field. Because every word you speak, every vibration you choose, is an instruction to the quantum. Now, in the next chapter, we'll explore a layer most forget, the nervous system. Because no matter how aligned your thoughts or how elevated your desire, if your body doesn't feel safe receiving the shift, it will sabotage the signal. Let's rewire that together. Let's get into something most spiritual teachings skip, but the quantum field never does. Your body, not just your physical actions or posture, but your nervous system. Because here's the truth. If your nervous system doesn't feel safe receiving your desired reality, it won't let you hold it. You might visualize clearly. You might affirm daily. You might even believe on a conscious level. But if your body is still wired for survival, your system will resist or reject the shift. This is why your reality doesn't just change when your mind gets it. It changes when your body relaxes into the new frequency. And that requires system alignment. Your nervous system is the interface between your internal state and the field around you. It broadcasts whether you're open or closed, expanded or contracted, regulated or reactive. That broadcast, more than your words or even your thoughts, is what the field matches. When you're in a sympathetic state, fight, flight, or freeze, your energy is scattered. You're not open to higher frequencies. You're not signaling safety or worthiness. You're signaling urgency, chaos, threat. And the quantum field, neutral as it is, mirrors that back. Not as punishment, but because it's coherent. This is why some people never seem to manifest what they want, no matter how much they meditate or journal. They're doing the spiritual work, but their nervous system is still stuck in a loop of unsafety. They haven't recalibrated the body to receive what they're asking for. So despite all the inner work, the signal stays fuzzy. The solution isn't more effort. It's a deeper safety. The real quantum shift happens when your body begins to trust your new timeline. When your cells begin to believe that abundance is safe, that love is safe, that rest is safe, that success won't cost you your peace. This is why we say do less. Because when your system is regulated, you don't need to push. You naturally magnetize. So how do you regulate? Through breath, through presence, through daily moments of re-anchoring your body to the now. But also, and this is crucial, through choosing. Meaning when your old triggers arise. Because regulation isn't just about calming down. It's about reprogramming the meaning you assign to stress. You don't have to suppress the fear. You have to reframe it. Let's say money has always felt scarce. When you try to manifest abundance, your nervous system might go into hyperdrive because it doesn't associate abundance with safety. It associates it with pressure or loss. So even as you affirm, "I am abundant," your body braces. That's incoherence. But if you start teaching your body gently, consistently, that it's safe to receive, safe to hold, safe to expand, the frequency shifts. And so does the timeline. This is the science of interoception, the brain's perception of internal, bodily states. When you consciously breathe, feel, soothe, and stabilize, you build a feedback loop of safety. And that safety becomes your baseline frequency. From there, manifestation becomes less about asking and more about allowing. Here's a mantra you can use. My body is safe in my next timeline. Say it slowly. Let it land. Because if you don't feel safe receiving more, your system will unconsciously keep you where it's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable. And familiarity is one of the strongest frequencies there is. So doing less doesn't mean avoiding discomfort. It means meeting discomfort with compassion. So the signal can soften, and the body can stop resisting the shift. That's what makes the new timeline sustainable. Not just a temporary breakthrough, but a permanent resonance. And remember, the field listens to your coherence, not your performance. It's not impressed by hustle. It's impressed by harmony. And the most harmonious state you can embody is a regulated nervous system vibrating in mute expectation, not desperation. That's when the quantum listens. That's when it aligns. So now, as we move toward NaltiI, the close of this video, we'll connect everything: alignment, intention, coherence, into the final truth of all manifestation. You're never manifesting alone. You are in constant co-creation with a living, intelligent, responsive universe. And your job is not to carry the whole load. It's to do your part and let the quantum do the rest. Here we are at the edge of everything we've explored. You've traveled through the essence of quantum, shifting, not as a performance, but as a process of energetic honesty. You've seen that doing less isn't laziness. It's intelligence. It's coherence. It's the ability to sense the invisible layers of reality and know. What I am is more powerful than what I do. That's not philosophy. That's physics. Let's bring all the pieces together now. You've learned that the quantum field does not respond to effort alone. It responds to alignment, And the highest expression of alignment comes when you act not from urgency but from present moment awareness. When your thoughts aren't scattered intentions, but coherent signals. When your desires aren't acts of chasing, but confirmations of your highest frequency. When your nervous system isn't bracing, but opening, signaling to the field that you're finally ready to receive. And here's the truth most people miss: the quantum shift doesn't require more. It requires mastery of less. Less resistance, less overthinking, less pushing, less grasping. What remains is a base. And in that space, the field speaks. Because in that space, the field doesn't need to be convinced. It already knows. It's already responding. You've simply removed the static. That's why so many people experience their biggest breakthroughs in moments of surrender, not because they gave up on the dream, but because they gave up on controlling the path. And in that surrender, a greater intelligence finally had room to work. Let's make this personal. Look at your life right now. Where have you been pushing? Where have you been forcing, controlling, doubting? And what if, just for today, you chose a different frequency, one of spaciousness, of certainty, of alignment? What if instead of saying, "I need to do more," you said, "I am already tuned in"? What if you stopped trying to chase your next timeline and started walking as the version of you who already lives there? Because that version, the one who knows how to hold the energy, who acts from peace, who trusts the field, is not in the future. That version is waiting in the present, beneath all your noise. You don't need another technique. You need presence. You need permission to be the frequency you've been trying to earn. And that is the ultimate paradox of quantum manifestation. When you finally stop proving, you start receiving. The field responds to coherence. And coherence is who you are when you're not pretending, performing, or panicking. So what now? You anchor. You choose. You soften. You hold the signal, not by doing more, but by being more. And if you felt this shift during this video, if something in you has landed, calmed, remembered, then this is your invitation. Not to rush, but to return to the frequency that never left you, to the wisdom that always knew. Here's a subtle but powerful next step. Subscribe. Not just for another piece of content, but as an energetic commitment. This is more than a channel. It's a frequency. And every time you return, you're not just consuming, you're calibrating. We're building something here. A movement of coherent creators who understand that quantum reality is not out there, it's right here. And when you shift within, the entire field shifts with you. So don't do more. Be more. Let the field receive your frequency. Let the quantum begin its response. And above all, trust the intelligence that moves through all things.